Your mum made a pudding in 1976 that took exactly 3 minutes to prepare. It came in a packet, cost 12 pence, and tasted like actual butterscotch. Today, food companies have quietly removed it from shelves, replaced it with something that tastes like cardboard and chemicals. Number 14 on this list was served at every single children's birthday party in Britain for an entire decade. Then it vanished. And number 3? Scientists recently discovered it contains a natural ingredient that modern dessert manufacturers have spent millions trying to replicate synthetically. These 20 puddings defined an era. They sat wobbling on sideboards at wedding receptions. They arrived steaming from school canteen hatches. They crowned Sunday dinners from Penzance to Perth. Then, one by one, they disappeared. Before we begin, hit subscribe, because what you're about to remember might just send you hunting through your mum's old recipe box. Let's count down 20 forgotten British desserts from the 1970s that deserve a comeback. Number 20, semolina pudding. That pale, grainy pudding appeared in school canteens every Wednesday without fail. Dinner ladies ladled it from industrial vats, thick and steaming, onto compartmented plastic trays. A blob of strawberry jam sat in the center, bleeding pink into the creamy white. The texture divided the nation. Some children scraped their bowls clean. Others hid spoonfuls in blazer pockets, risking discovery at home time. Your mum made the proper version at weekends, stirring semolina into hot milk with sugar and a scrape of nutmeg. The packet cost about 8 pence and fed the whole family. Served warm with a pool of Lyle's golden syrup, it was comfort itself. The smell filled the kitchen, milky and sweet, a promise that pudding was moments away. Somewhere in the 1980s, semolina became unfashionable. Schools switched to yogurt pots and fruit cups. Supermarkets quietly reduced shelf space. Now you'll struggle to find anyone under 40 who remembers the simple pleasure of breaking through that skin with a spoon. Number 19, junket. Before set desserts came in plastic pots, your grandmother made junket. She warmed milk to blood temperature, stirred in rennet tablets costing 6 pence a bottle, added sugar and vanilla, then left it to set into something between custard and blancmange. Rennet transformed liquid milk into a trembling, delicate curd that melted on the tongue. Served in glass dishes with nutmeg, junket was considered suitable for invalids and anyone needing gentle nourishment. The problem was timing. Leave it too long and the texture turned rubbery. Disturb it during setting and the whole thing collapsed. By the late 1970s, Angel Delight offered foolproof consistency without the fuss. Rennet tablets disappeared from supermarket shelves. Junket became a grandmother's memory, too delicate for a generation raised on instant gratification. Number 18, Brown Betty. This apple pudding wore a golden crown of buttered breadcrumbs that crisped in the oven until they crackled under the spoon. Your mum layered sliced Bramleys with brown sugar, cinnamon, and torn bread soaked in melted butter. Each layer built anticipation. The dish went into the oven for 45 minutes while the house filled with the scent of baking apples and caramelizing sugar. Brown Betty was thrift disguised as indulgence. Stale bread, bruised apples, a knob of butter. Nothing wasted. The breadcrumbs absorbed apple juices from below while crisping on top, creating a textural contrast that apple crumble never quite matched. Served with bird's custard from a dented saucepan, it disappeared in minutes. Recipe books from the 1970s featured Brown Betty as a weeknight standby. Women's magazines printed variations with pears or plums. Then, somewhere along the way, we forgot. Crumble cornered the market. Brown Betty retreated to American cookbooks, leaving British tables poorer for its absence. Number 17. Blancmange. That wobbly pink rabbit sat on the birthday table, ears quivering with every footstep. Your mum turned it out from a copper mold shaped like a castle, a fish, or if she was feeling fancy, an elaborate ring with fluted edges. Blancmange powder cost about 10 pence a packet. Mixed with milk and heated until thick, it set into something smooth and cool that children actually enjoyed, unlike the sophisticated mousses that would replace it. The strawberry version dominated, but butterscotch had its devotees, and chocolate blancmange appeared at more adventurous tables. The texture was the thing. Firmer than custard, softer than jelly, cool and comforting against the tongue. Blancmange required a proper mold, and every kitchen had one. When the housing boom brought fitted kitchens with limited storage, those copper molds went to charity shops. The packets lingered on supermarket shelves into the 1980s before quietly vanishing. Modern children have never experienced the anticipation of watching a rabbit-shaped dessert wobble its way to the table. Their loss. Number 16. Gypsy Tart. This Kent school dinner legend sparked more nostalgia than almost any other pudding on this list. The filling was impossibly simple. Just evaporated milk and dark muscovado sugar, whisked for 15 minutes until the mixture turned pale and mousse-like. Poured into a short-crust pastry case and baked briefly, it emerged with a sticky, almost treacle toffee flavor that coated the mouth and lingered for hours. School cooks in Kent and the surrounding counties guarded their recipes jealously. Some added a splash of vanilla. Others insisted on specific brands of evaporated milk. Children queued at the canteen hatch, hoping supplies wouldn't run out before their turn. The origins remain disputed. Some say a headmistress invented it to feed hungry evacuees. Others credit traveling communities passing through Kent. Whatever the truth, Gypsy Tart was regionally adored and nationally unknown. When school meal standardization arrived, regional recipes gave way to national contracts. Gypsy Tart faded from canteens, surviving only in memory and occasional local bakeries, where Kentish expatriates make pilgrimages for a taste of childhood. Number 15. Cabinet Pudding. This steamed sponge, studded with glacé cherries and raisins, was the dinner party closer of its era. Your mum lined a pudding basin with crystallized fruit and soaked sponge fingers, then filled it with rich egg custard before steaming for 2 hours. The result was turned out onto a plate, cherries gleaming like jewels against golden sponge. Cabinet pudding required confidence. The unmolding moment was theatrical. Success meant gasps. Failure meant a collapsed heap quickly renamed trifle. The name suggested importance. This was pudding fit for special occasions. The problem was time. 2 hours of steaming tied up the hob and the cook's attention. When microwaves arrived, cabinet pudding's elaborate preparation fell out of favor. Now it exists mainly in vintage cookbooks, a reminder of when pudding was an event. Number 14. Arctic Roll. That frozen log sat in every freezer compartment in Britain by 1975. Walls and lions battled for supremacy, but the concept was identical. A cylinder of vanilla ice cream wrapped in thin sponge cake, with a ribbon of raspberry jam running through the center. Sliced into rounds, each portion revealed the distinctive target pattern that made children's eyes widen. The texture combination was revolutionary. Soft, yielding sponge against frozen ice cream. The jam added sweetness and color. A family-sized roll cost about 45 pence and served 8, making it the affordable centerpiece of birthday teas across the nation. The ritual was fixed. Remove from freezer, wait precisely 5 minutes, slice with a sharp knife dipped in hot water. Too frozen and the sponge shattered. Too soft and the slices collapsed. Every mum knew the timing by instinct. Then Viennetta arrived in 1982 with its fancy waves, and Arctic Roll suddenly looked dowdy. By the 1990s, supermarket freezers had abandoned it. Occasional nostalgic revivals appear, but they never taste quite the same. That simple cylinder of joy deserves permanent resurrection. First pattern break. Here's where things get interesting. Your grandmother knew something about 1970s convenience desserts that would shock modern nutritionists. Many of those instant puddings contained real ingredients. Angel Delight's original formula used actual milk proteins. Instant custard powder relied on corn flour and egg solids. Even the despised butterscotch instant whip contained recognizable dairy. When manufacturers reformulated for longer shelf life and cheaper production, they swapped real for artificial. The newer versions technically last longer and cost less to make, but taste them side by side with an original 1970s recipe, and the difference is stark. We didn't abandon these desserts because they were inferior. We abandoned them because the improved versions weren't worth eating. Meanwhile, those original formulas are lost to corporate filing cabinets, and a generation wonders why nothing tastes like it used to. Number 13. Peach Melba. Auguste Escoffier created this in 1892 for the opera singer Nellie Melba. By the 1970s, it had trickled down to Bernie Inn menus and ambitious home cooks across Britain. A ripe peach half, ideally poached but often tinned, sat on vanilla ice cream, draped in raspberry sauce. The combination looked sophisticated with minimal effort. Your mum served it in those cut-glass sundae dishes that came free with petrol station stamps, a paper doily underneath for elegance. A tin of peach halves cost about 15 pence. Raspberry sauce was made from jam pushed through a sieve, or, for the advanced cook, from frozen raspberries with a spoon of icing sugar. The whole dessert took 5 minutes but looked like an hour's work. Restaurant menus listed it as a premium option. Guests at dinner parties felt genuinely impressed. Then Nouvelle Cuisine arrived. Portions shrank, and raspberry coulis replaced raspberry sauce. Peach Melba became associated with outdated formality, banished alongside prawn cocktail and black forest gâteau. It deserves revival. That combination of fruit, cream, and sauce remains genuinely delicious, regardless of fashion. Number 12. Chocolate Concrete. No discussion of 1970s school puddings is complete without this Canteen legend. Dense, chewy, and probably capable of breaking teeth if served cold, chocolate concrete was a phenomenon unique to British school dinners. The recipe was industrial baking at its most utilitarian. Flour, cocoa powder, sugar, margarine, baked until the surface cracked, and the interior achieved a texture somewhere between brownie and building material. The name was not affectionate. Children called it concrete because that's what it resembled. But pour over custard, or in some schools, that luminous pink custard that appeared nowhere else in British cuisine, and something magical happened. The concrete softened just enough to yield to a spoon while maintaining its dense, fudgy chew. Dinner ladies cut it into rectangles with the precision of bricklayers. Portions were substantial. Seconds were rare but treasured. When school meal reforms arrived, chocolate concrete failed to meet nutritional guidelines. Its replacement, some forgettable brownie from a catering pack, satisfied bureaucrats but disappointed children. Those who remember it spend decades searching for recipes that never quite match the Canteen original. Number 11. Rum Baba. This yeast cake soaked in rum syrup represented continental sophistication in 1970s Britain. Your mum bought them from Marks and Spencer, or made them from Good Housekeeping recipes. The dough was enriched with eggs and butter, baked in individual molds, then drenched with syrup spiked with dark rum. Rum babas arrived at the table with whipped cream and a glacé cherry, looking like something from a Parisian patisserie. The texture was unique, not quite cake, not quite pudding, but something sodden and sweet and Moorish. Supermarkets stocked them ready-made in plastic containers. Then Black Forest gâteau fatigue brought a retreat from elaborate desserts. Rum babas lost their place in national consciousness. Continental bakeries still make them properly. British supermarkets have moved on. Number 10. Butterscotch Angel Delight. Bird's Angel Delight launched in 1967 and dominated the 1970s dessert landscape with the force of a sugary tidal wave. Strawberry was the bestseller, but butterscotch held a special place for those who preferred warmth over fruit. The powder mixed with cold milk, whisked for precisely 2 minutes with a hand whisk, set into a fluffy mousse without any refrigeration required. The butterscotch version tasted like the inside of a Callard and Bowser toffee, transformed into something airy. Your mum served it in those small glass dishes from the co-op, maybe with a squirt of tinned cream for special occasions. A packet cost 12 pence and made 4 portions. Children could prepare it themselves, feeling grown up as they counted the whisking time. The texture was unlike anything else. Light but rich. Instant but somehow satisfying. When Birds reformulated in the 1990s to extend shelf life, something changed. The butterscotch version never recovered. It lingers on supermarket shelves but tastes like a shadow of itself. Those who remember the original know the difference, and they mourn. Number 9. Manchester Tart. Another school dinner legend, this pastry case held a layer of raspberry jam, a spread of custard, and a snowdrift of desiccated coconut on top. Regional variations existed. Some schools added a glacé cherry, others used strawberry jam. The custard might be thick or runny, depending on the dinner lady's mood, but the essential Manchester tart was simple, sweet, and universally beloved. Children ate around the edges first, saving the jammy center for last. The coconut stuck to teeth and lips, a sweet aftermath that lasted through afternoon lessons. Your mum could make it at home easily. A blind-baked pastry case, a spread of jam, a pour of Bird's custard, a shower of coconut. 10 minutes of effort for a dessert that disappeared in seconds. Unlike Gypsy Tart, Manchester Tart had no mysterious origins. It was named for the city, served across the north, and gradually migrated south through the shared culture of school dinners. When school meals changed, Manchester Tart retreated to nostalgic Facebook groups and occasional bakery revivals. The coconut custard jam combination remains perfect. It just needs someone to bring it back properly. Number 8. Baked Alaska. This was the showstopper, the ultimate 1970s dinner party finale. Ice cream sat on a sponge base, encased in meringue, then baked in a screaming hot oven for exactly 3 minutes. Science made it possible. The meringue insulated the ice cream, which stayed frozen while the exterior browned. Your mum practiced the timing secretly before attempting it for guests. Get it wrong, and you served soup. Get it right, and you earned applause. The drama was intentional. Baked Alaska arrived at the table immediately, still warm. The meringue peaks toasted golden, while the interior remained miraculously cold. Guests who understood the technique were impressed by the skill. Those who didn't assumed witchcraft. Recipe books dedicated entire pages to the method. Women's magazines ran features every December promising to demystify the process. Then ice cream cakes and frozen gâteaux flooded supermarkets, offering similar impact without the risk. Baked Alaska retreated to restaurant menus and disappeared from home kitchens. The theatrical pleasure of serving something impossible has been replaced by the safety of store-bought. We lost something important when we stopped being willing to fail spectacularly in pursuit of dessert. Second pattern break: the truth about school puddings. Those canteen desserts weren't just cheap ways to fill children up. The dinner ladies who made them followed recipes developed by nutritionists. Ministry of Education guidelines specified calorie counts and nutritional balance. Chocolate concrete provided energy. Custard delivered calcium. Sponge puddings added fiber. When reformers looked at school meals in the 1980s, they saw sugar and fat. They missed the context. Working-class children often ate their most nutritious meal at school. Those heavy puddings weren't failures of imagination. They were deliberate attempts to send children home properly fed. We reformed school meals based on middle-class assumptions about what children ate at home. The results were lighter options that often went uneaten, and a generation who remember chocolate concrete with more affection than any salad bar. Number 7. Pineapple upside-down cake. Those tinned pineapple rings, arranged in a pattern with glacé cherries in their centers, defined this cake's appearance. Your mum spread butter and brown sugar in the cake tin, laid down the pineapple rings in precise formation, poured sponge batter over the top, and baked until the house smelled of tropical caramel. The magic happened when she turned it out. That buttery sugar base became a gleaming, sticky topping, the pineapple rings glistening like edible jewels. A tin of pineapple rings cost about 18 pence. The cake fed 8 people. The leftovers, if there were any, improved overnight as the juices soaked deeper into the sponge. This was the cake that mothers brought to church fetes, that appeared at PTA meetings, that crowned children's birthday tables when chocolate felt too ordinary. American in origin but thoroughly adopted by British home bakers, pineapple upside-down cake represented the exotic made accessible. Tinned fruit from distant places transformed by British baking into something wonderful. Then fresh pineapples became affordable, and tinned rings seemed old-fashioned. The cake faded from fashion, replaced by nothing in particular. It awaits rediscovery. Number 6. Spotted Dick. Yes, it survived beyond the 1970s, but that decade was its golden age. This sweet pudding, studded with currants and steamed for hours, was the Sunday lunch finale across Britain. The name caused schoolboy sniggers, but the taste silenced them. Dense, rich, sweet with dried fruit, Spotted Dick arrived at the table with custard and disappeared in minutes. Your mum wrapped the dough in cloth and boiled it or steamed it in a basin. The house filled with the warm smell of sweet and fruit. The custard was non-negotiable. Spotted Dick without custard was unthinkable. By the 1980s, lighter desserts displaced sweet puddings from weekly menus. Spotted Dick retreated to pub menus, more often discussed than actually eaten. A generation raised on yogurt has never experienced proper steamed sweet pudding. Number 5. Prune Whip. Before prunes became rebranded as dried plums, they were stewed and whipped into a mousse that appeared on countless British tables. Your grandmother knew the recipe by heart. Stewed prunes, pureed smooth, folded into whipped cream or whipped evaporated milk. The result was light, slightly tannic, and surprisingly elegant. Served in glass dishes with chopped almonds, prune whip looked sophisticated while costing almost nothing. A pound of prunes cost about 25 pence and made enough for multiple meals. Women's Institute recipe books recommended it for invalids and anyone needing gentle nutrition. The prunes' reputation problem killed it. By the 1980s, prunes were jokes about elderly digestive systems, not ingredients for elegant desserts. Prune Whip vanished from menus. The underlying combination remains delicious. Someone needs to rebrand it. Number 4. Snowballs. These coconut-covered marshmallow domes were the tea-time treat every child recognized. Tunnocks dominated, but other manufacturers competed. A dome of soft marshmallow sat on a biscuit base, covered in chocolate and rolled in desiccated coconut that fell in a gentle blizzard with every bite. Your mum kept them in the biscuit tin for special occasions. They appeared at birthday parties alongside iced gems and party rings. The texture combination was perfect. Crisp biscuit, chewy marshmallow, snapping chocolate, and that shower of coconut. Snowballs survived longer than many items on this list, but have gradually disappeared from mainstream supermarkets. Tunnocks still makes them, but distribution has shrunk. Those of us who remember the coconut snowstorm that accompanied every bite know what children today are missing. These belong in every biscuit tin. Number 3. Syllabub. This ancient dessert experienced a 1970s revival that peaked and collapsed within a decade. Wine or sherry whisked with cream, sugar, and lemon juice until thick and frothy. Syllabub was the sophisticated dinner party dessert for hostesses who found trifle too common. Your mum served it in those tiny glasses that came in sets of 6, with a ratafia biscuit on the side. The alcohol flavor was present but refined. The texture was lighter than whipped cream, but more substantial than mousse. Here's what scientists discovered recently. The acid from the lemon juice and wine creates a stable protein network in the cream. This natural emulsification produces a texture that modern stabilizers and thickeners cannot replicate. The Elizabethans knew this 400 years ago. Your grandmother knew it in 1974. The food industry has spent decades trying to bottle the same effect artificially. Syllabub fell from fashion when dinner parties themselves became less formal. Nobody hosts the elaborate evenings that required elegant finales anymore. But the chemistry remains sound, the flavor remains beautiful, and syllabub deserves revival for anyone willing to whisk cream with wine and wait. Number 2. Trifle. Not just any trifle. The proper 1970s trifle with layers visible through the cut glass bowl. Sponge fingers soaked in sherry until they threatened to collapse. Bird's custard, made thick with extra powder. Chivers jelly, red and wobbling. Tinned fruit cocktail, those tiny cubes of pear and peach, and the mysterious red cherry. Real whipped cream on top, or dream topping if budgets were tight. Hundreds and thousands scattered like confetti. The assembly was ritualistic. The bowl went into the fridge overnight, flavors melding, layers settling, sherry seeping through everything. Christmas demanded trifle. Easter expected it. Birthday celebrations required the big bowl brought out from the back of the cupboard. Children fought for the layers they preferred. Adults spooned from the bottom where the sherry concentrated. Arguments erupted over whether the jelly should set before the custard went on, or whether they should meld slightly at the boundaries. Modern trifles use fancy ingredients and restrained decoration. They miss the point entirely. A 1970s trifle was excess made edible, abundance piled in a bowl, a celebration of how far we'd come from rationing. Its current absence from regular rotation represents a failure of joy. Bring back the hundreds and thousands, let the layers wobble, and finally, in first place, Black Forest Gâteau. This chocolate cherry cream construction was the undisputed king of 1970s celebration desserts. Every high street bakery displayed them in chilled cabinets. Every dinner party ended with one. Every Burnie-in menu featured it as the premium option. 3 layers of chocolate sponge, soaked with kirsch, filled with whipped cream and black cherry filling, covered entirely in more cream, decorated with chocolate curls and whole cherries, each one a glossy promise of indulgence. Your mum bought one from the freezer centre for £2.50, or attempted the recipe from a magazine, spending an entire afternoon on assembly. The result was always dramatic. That first slice, served onto a plate, revealed the striped interior. Cream, cherry, chocolate, cream, cherry, chocolate. The kirsch hit your nose before the fork reached your mouth. The cherries burst against your teeth. The cream smoothed everything into luxury. Black Forest Gâteau became so ubiquitous that it became uncool. Comedians mocked it. Food writers sneered. By the 1990s, ordering one felt like admitting you'd never heard of tiramisu. The gâteau retreated to supermarket freezers, then largely disappeared. But here's the truth nobody admits. A properly made Black Forest Gâteau, with real kirsch and actual cherries and freshly whipped cream, is genuinely delicious. We abandoned it because we were embarrassed, not because we found anything better. It remains the most satisfying combination of chocolate, fruit, cream, and alcohol ever devised. Black Forest Gâteau deserves not just revival, but rehabilitation. Here's my challenge to you. Make one of these this month. Not from a packet, not from the supermarket freezer, but properly. Attempt a baked Alaska and risk the mess. Whip evaporated milk into prune whip like your grandmother did. Turn out a blancmange from a proper copper mold. Then tell me in the comments whether I'm right or whether these deserve to stay forgotten. I made syllabub last week. 3 ingredients, 10 minutes. My guests asked where I'd ordered it. I told them 1974 and they didn't believe me. These weren't just desserts. They were the sweet full stop at the end of every family meal, every celebration, every Sunday lunch. Food companies didn't replace them with something better. They just moved on to the next trend and hoped we'd forget. Your mum remembered. Your grandmother perfected them. Now you know what we've lost. Share which one you're going to try first.